Why are we so focused on the tool, the trigger, rather than the person, the finger? When thousands of people rally at our state's capitals, holding up signs that say there are better ways to reduce class size or ban assault weapons, vote for change, what is the real picture that we are putting out for everyone to see? The shootings of Columbine, Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, and Stoneman Douglas High School are a few examples of school shootings, but only a small dose of mass killings occurring each year in the United States. In 2017 alone, 590 people were murdered in mass shootings and 1,981 people were wounded. This calls for reform to put an end to gun violence and all other forms of violence, rather. The main point of speaking to you today is to educate you with legitimate reasoning of why your view on gun control won't solve anything. The main problem of guns on the streets is not the models that are readily available for purchase. In fact, current protests against submachine guns and semi-automatic weapons have the wrong statistics and ideas. The fact is roughly 300 deaths were reported due to assault weapons in the last year, while over 6,000 deaths were due to handgun use. The current leftist movement against banning all assault-type weapons is simply not the tighter regulation that this nation needs, for a funny reason. An assault rifle is defined as a rapid-fire, magazine-fed automatic rifle, which ironically all those category weapons were banned in 1994 under Clinton. If you truly look at what can be called an assault weapon, literally every single gun made in America and across the world can fall under that category. The definition of assault is a physical attack. Whether you're shooting at a target, an animal, and even a person, that gun immediately falls into the assault category. I do agree that tighter regulations need to be placed, but not on the weapons that aren't even available to the public. The AR-15, a common use base for what the leftist subjective opinion uses to call an assault rifle. However, these guns are not semi-automatic, nor are they rapid fire. The tighter gun regulations that this country needs are on who are allowed to own these weapons and who cannot. As the Second Amendment serves as a right to bear arms, there must be a degree to where the line is drawn for who should have the right to bear arms and who should not. The right to bear arms means that we as citizens of the United States have the right to protect ourselves, our land, and to militarize against the government to keep them in check. The leftist groups don't just want to ban assault weapons, they want to ban all weapons. What every single person needs to realize is taking the guns away will only cause more violence, more protests, and a great divide. Want to know what happens when the government takes all the guns away? Look at Nazi Germany. I'm not saying America does not need federal regulations, but the regulations need to be practical and backed by evidence and real facts. Regulations should be placed on who can own these arms of freedom and who cannot, and also attachments to them that will be allowed to be added. Certain stocks, magazines, and other military purpose attachments truly should not be available to be purchased for public use. However, the taking of guns away from people does not solve the mass killing issue. What do you have to say about the Oklahoma City bombing, where 19 toddlers were blown apart in Oklahoma, in their daycare center? What about 9/11, where 2,996 people were killed by planes and falling buildings, but yet not a single gun was involved? This is why the mental health checks need to be pushed for, along with background checks, with tighter regulations on who can own guns and what precautions should be taken before the purchase of the gun needs to be enacted. Tightening regulations of owning a gun will only benefit the community and nation. Thorough checks of social media, phone calls, even alarming texts should be taken into account before recommending the individual to be able to buy a gun or not to do so. In direct relation to the Parkland shooting, the FBI needs to actually act upon the threats they see. They had 3 previous records of this man admitting he wanted to be the next famous school shooter in America. That man should have not been allowed to buy a gun, and he should have been arrested immediately after they saw him 3 consecutive times. Period. A simple scan through this man's social media profiles would immediately showcase his to-do list with the firearm. That is where the regulation needs to be placed, to stop that man, that woman, or anyone showing potential to have the desire to harm themselves, others, or just unable to begin with. That is how we need to regulate our nation's firearms. Every gun is built with a purpose, but the nation needs to erase the possibility of giving someone a chance to change the purpose of that firearm. To move forward on gun regulations, this country must push for these security measures on every person residing in the states, to take the possibilities of harm of just not guns, but bombs, plane crashes, and other atrocities that the U.S. has seen, Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Thank you.